The ship came down from the sky like a falling star. It was small and old, covered in burn marks and holes. The engines made a terrible sound as it landed on the platform outside the Galactic Academy. Smoke poured from its sides. Everyone stopped to watch. Students from 100 different worlds stood frozen in the courtyard. They had seen many ships before. The Academy trained the best soldiers in the galaxy. But this ship was different. It looked like it had traveled through a war zone just to get here. The landing ramp lowered slowly. Metal scraped against metal. Steam hissed into the cold morning air. A figure stepped out. She was tall, covered head to toe in black armor. The armor was not like anything the students had seen before. It was rough and heavy, made from pieces that did not match. Some parts looked like ship metal. Other parts looked like they came from old machines. The helmet covered her entire face. Two small lights glowed where the eyes should be. She carried a bag over one shoulder. She walked forward without stopping. Her boots made heavy sounds on the stone ground. The students moved away from her path. They whispered to each other. "What species is that?" "I cannot tell. The armor hides everything." "Look at that ship. How did it even fly?" A young cadet named Wu stood near the front of the crowd. He was from a water world called Nara. His skin was pale blue and his eyes were large and dark. He had been at the academy for 2 years now. He thought he had seen everything. But this stranger made him feel strange inside. Not afraid exactly, just curious. The armored figure walked past him. She did not turn her head. She did not slow down. She moved like someone who had walked through fire and kept going. Instructor was waiting at the main entrance. He was an old soldier from the Vega system. His body was covered in scales the color of dark green stone. He had fought in 3 wars. He had trained thousands of cadets. Nothing surprised him anymore. But today, his eyes followed the armored stranger with careful attention. "You are the one they sent?" he asked. The stranger stopped in front of him. She did not speak for a long moment. Then a voice came from inside the helmet. It was soft, filtered through metal, impossible to read. "Yes." Looked at the data pad in his hand. "High Command did not give me much information about you, only that you completed all the entry tests, only that you scored higher than anyone in the last 50 years. The stranger said nothing. "They did not tell me your species," continued. "They did not tell me your home world. They did not even give me your real name." The stranger said, "You can call me." Studied her for a long time. He had learned to read body language in his many years of war, but this armor gave nothing away. No movement, no breath pattern, nothing. "Very well," he said at last. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy. You will stay in Block 7 with the other new cadets. Training begins tomorrow at dawn. Do not be late." Nodded once, then she walked past him into the building. The students in the courtyard began to talk again, louder this time. Wu heard pieces of their conversation as he made his way to his own quarters. "Did you see that armor? It looks handmade." "High Command sent her. Why would they send someone so mysterious?" "Maybe she is a criminal. Maybe this is some kind of punishment. Or maybe she is a weapon, something new they are testing." Wu did not join the talk. He just watched the armored figure disappear into the shadows of the building. Something about her made him think of stories his grandmother used to tell. Stories about lone warriors who came from nowhere and changed everything. That night the academy was full of whispers. Everyone wanted to know who the stranger was. What was she hiding under all that armor? Why did she never show her face? In the dining hall, Wu sat with his friends and was from a forest world. Her skin was the color of tree bark and her hair was made of something like soft leaves. Was from a desert planet. His body was thin and tall, built to survive heat and sand. "I heard she did not eat dinner," said. "She just went straight to her room." "Maybe her species does not need food," said. "Some species only eat once a month." Or maybe she cannot remove the helmet, said. Maybe the armor is part of her body. Wu pushed his food around his plate. Or maybe she just wants to be alone. His friends looked at him. You sound like you feel sorry for her, said. I do not know what I feel, Wu admitted. I just think everyone is so quick to judge. We do not know anything about her. That is exactly the problem, said. We know nothing, and in this galaxy that is dangerous. Later that night, Wu could not sleep. He got up and walked through the quiet halls of the academy. The lights were dim. Most students were in their rooms. He did not plan to go to Block 7, but somehow his feet carried him there. He found her standing on the balcony outside the dormitory. She was looking up at the stars. The 2 moons of the academy world cast silver light across her armor. She must have heard him coming, but she did not turn around. You should be sleeping, she said. Her voice was still filtered, still distant. So should you, Wu said. She did not answer. Wu stepped closer, but not too close. I am Wu. I am in my 2nd year here. Silence. I just wanted to say welcome, he continued. I know everyone is acting strange around you, but not everyone here is bad. Some of us just want to learn and become good soldiers. Finally turned her head slightly. The lights in her helmet seemed to study him. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Wu thought about it. I do not know, maybe because you looked lonely. Another long silence. Then turned back to the stars. Thank you, Wu, but I am used to being alone. Wu nodded even though she could not see it. Okay, but if you ever want someone to talk to, I am in Block 3, Room 12. He turned and walked away. Watched the stars for a long time after he left. Under her helmet, hidden from the entire galaxy, she closed her eyes. It had been so long since anyone had shown her kindness. So long since anyone had looked at her and not seen a monster or a threat. She touched the edge of her helmet with armored fingers. Soon they would all know the truth, and when they did, everything would change. But for now she was just a stranger in armor, a mystery waiting to be solved. And the academy had no idea what was coming. The first week passed like a storm. Training at the Galactic Academy was hard. It was meant to break the weak and build the strong. Cadets woke before the sun rose. They trained their bodies until their muscles screamed. They studied war tactics until their minds were full. They learned to fight, to survive, to lead. Did everything perfectly. In combat training, she moved faster than anyone expected. Her heavy armor should have slowed her down. Instead, she flowed like water around her opponents. She defeated cadets twice her size. She never used more force than needed. She never showed off. She simply won again and again. In the classroom, she answered questions that stumped everyone else. Her knowledge of ship systems was deep. Her understanding of battle strategy was sharp. The instructors began to watch her more closely. But she still never removed her armor. She ate alone, if she ate at all. Some cadets said they saw her take food packets to her room late at night. Others said she must have some kind of feeding tube inside her helmet. The mystery only grew bigger. Wu tried to talk to her again after the 2nd day of training. He found her in the combat hall, practicing alone. She moved through fighting forms with perfect control. Her armored fists cut through the air like blades. You are really good, Wu said from the doorway. Stopped, she turned to face him. You should not be here. Practice time ended an hour ago. I could say the same about you. She did not answer. She just stood there still as a statue. Wu walked into the hall. I am not trying to bother you. I just think it must be hard, being here alone, having everyone stare at you all the time. I do not mind the stares, said. Then what do you mind? For a long moment she was silent. Then she said, the questions. Everyone wants to know what I am, where I come from, what I am hiding. Are you hiding something? The lights in her helmet seemed to flicker. Everyone is hiding something, Wu. He could not argue with that. He had his own secrets. his own fears, his own reasons for being at the academy. "Fair enough," he said. "But if you ever want to stop hiding, even for a little while, you can talk to me. I am good at keeping secrets." Looked at him for a long time, then she turned back to her practice. "Good night, Wu." He understood. He left without another word. The days turned into weeks, continued to excel at everything. She became the top cadet in every ranking, but she also became the loneliest person in the academy. Rumors grew wild. Some cadets said she was a robot built by high command for some secret purpose. Others said she was a survivor of a dead world, the last of her kind. Some whispered darker things. They said she was a criminal, a killer, someone too dangerous to let loose in normal society, and had their own theories. "I think she is from a species that cannot breathe our air," said one evening. "That is why she never takes off the helmet. She would die without it." "Then why not just use a small mask?" asked. "Why cover the whole body?" "Maybe her species is ugly," said. "Maybe she is ashamed of how she looks." "That is cruel," Wu said quietly. His friends looked at him. "You still feel sorry for her?" asked. "I do not feel sorry for her," Wu said. "I respect her. She works harder than anyone. She never complains. She never asks for help. And she has to deal with everyone talking about her behind her back. She brings it on herself," said. "If she just showed us who she was, the talking would stop." "Would it?" Wu asked. "Or would everyone just find something else to criticize?" His friends had no answer for that. Instructor called to his office one afternoon. She stood before his desk, still and silent in her armor. He studied her with his old soldier eyes. "You are making problems for me," he said. "How?" she asked. "High command asks me questions I cannot answer. The other instructors want to know who you are. The cadets are distracted by you. Everyone wants to know the same thing. What are you hiding under that armor?" Did not move. "My armor is not against any academy rules." "No, it is not," agreed. "But it is against common sense. How can I trust a soldier I cannot see? How can I send you into battle if I do not know what you are? You have my test scores. You have my performance records. You know what I can do." "I know what you can do," said. "I do not know what you are." The room was quiet for a long moment. "Is that an order?" asked. "To remove my armor?" Thought about it, he could make it an order. He had the authority, but something stopped him. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was respect. Maybe it was the way she had said those words, so calm, so ready for whatever came next. "No," he said finally. "It is not an order, not yet, but I am watching you, and sooner or later the truth always comes out." Nodded. "Yes, sir, it does." She left his office without another word. That night, Wu found her on the balcony again. She was looking at the stars just like before. "You seem to like the night sky," he said. "It reminds me of home," she said. Then, after a pause, "Or what used to be home." Wu stepped closer. "What happened to your home?" Silence. The wind blew across the balcony. Somewhere in the distance, a night bird called out. "It died," said at last. "Everything died, the land, the water, the sky, the people." Wu felt a cold weight in his chest. "I am sorry." "Do not be. It happened a long time ago. I was young. I barely remember it." "But you survived." "Yes," her voice was very quiet now. "I survived." Wu did not know what to say. He stood beside her in silence, looking up at the same stars. He did not ask more questions. He did not push for more answers. He just stayed there, a quiet presence in the dark. After a while spoke again. "You are strange, Wu." "Why?" "Most people want something from me. Information, answers, proof of what I am, but you just stand here, you ask nothing." Wu smiled a little. "Maybe I already know what matters." "And what is that?" "That you are a person, that you are hurting, that you do not want to be alone even if you say you do." Turned to look at him. The lights in her helmet were soft now, almost gentle. You see too much, she said. Or maybe I just pay attention. They stood together in silence for a long time after that. Two cadets from different worlds looking up at the same sky, one hiding everything, one seeing through the armor to the person inside. Neither of them knew it yet, but this moment would change everything. In 3 days, the Academy would face its greatest crisis and would have to make a choice: keep her secret safe or save the people who had treated her as an outsider. The stars burned bright above them, cold and distant and full of secrets of their own. The alarm screamed through the academy like a dying animal. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Students ran from their rooms, confused and afraid. Instructors shouted orders that got lost in the chaos. Wu pushed through the crowd trying to find out what was happening. He grabbed a passing cadet by the arm. "What is going on?" "The reactor," the cadet said, his face pale with fear. "Something went wrong in the training facility. The main reactor is melting down." Wu felt his blood go cold. The training facility was where the younger cadets practiced. There were at least 30 students in there right now. If the reactor exploded, they would all die. He ran toward the facility without thinking. The crowd was moving the other way, away from danger. He was the only one running toward it. When he reached the main corridor, he saw an instructor standing at the sealed door. The old soldier was shouting into his communication device, his scales dark with stress. "What is the situation?" Wu asked. "Bad," said. "The reactor coolant system failed. We have maybe 15 minutes before the whole thing blows. There are 32 cadets trapped inside. The door seals activated automatically. We cannot open them from out here." "Can we cut through?" "Not in 15 minutes. The walls are too thick." Wu stared at the sealed door. Behind it he could hear faint sounds, screaming, crying. The young cadets knew they were going to die. "There has to be something we can do," Wu said. Shook his head. His old eyes were full of pain. "I have sent for help, but it will not arrive in time. We can only hope the cadets inside can find a way to stop the meltdown themselves." "They are children," Wu said. "They do not know how." "I know." The seconds ticked by like hours. More students gathered in the corridor, watching the sealed door with helpless eyes. Some of them were crying. Others were praying to gods Wu did not know. Then a voice cut through the noise. "Move!" Everyone turned, was standing at the back of the crowd. Her black armor looked darker than ever in the red emergency lights. She walked forward and the crowd parted for her like water around a stone. "What are you doing?" demanded. "I am going inside," said. "The door is sealed. You cannot get through." Looked at the door. Then she looked at the wall beside it. "This section of the wall is thinner. The maintenance access point is behind it. If I break through here, I can reach the reactor chamber from the inside." Stared at her. "How do you know that?" "I studied the facility plans." "Even if you get in, you will be trapped. The radiation levels are already deadly." Raised her armored fists. "My armor has radiation shielding. I will survive long enough to fix the coolant system." "And if you cannot fix it?" She did not answer. Instead, she pulled back her arm and drove her fist into the wall with terrible force. The metal dented. She hit it again. And again. Each blow was harder than the last. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. On the fifth hit, the wall broke open. Hot air rushed out, carrying the smell of burning metal and melting plastic. The radiation alarms on everyone's devices went crazy. Stepped through the hole without looking back. Wu did not think, he did not plan, he simply followed her. "Wu, stop!" shouted. But Wu was already gone, disappearing into the smoke and fire. Inside, everything was chaos. The lights flickered on and off. Steam poured from broken pipes. The reactor core glowed an angry red at the center of the chamber. Around it, young cadets huddled in a corner, their small faces wet with tears. Was already running toward the control panel. Her hands moved fast across the buttons and switches. Wu ran to the children instead. "It is okay," he told them. "We are going to get you out, just stay calm." A young girl grabbed his arm. Her skin was the color of sunset and her eyes were huge with fear. "The reactor is going to explode. We are all going to die." "No, you are not," Wu said. "Do you see that woman over there? She is going to save us, I promise." He looked back at. She was working faster now, her armored fingers flying across the controls. But something was wrong. The reactor was still glowing. The heat was still rising. He called out, "What is happening?" "The manual override is damaged," she said. "I have to fix it by hand." "What do you need?" "I need to reach inside the coolant housing, but the housing is too small for my armor." Wu understood. The armor that protected her was now getting in her way. She would have to remove at least part of it to reach the broken system. "Then take it off," he said. Froze. For a long moment she did not move. The reactor hummed louder. The temperature rose higher. Wu said again, "Whatever you are hiding, it does not matter right now. Those children are going to die. We are all going to die, please." She turned to look at him. The lights in her helmet seemed to pulse with something like emotion. Then slowly, she reached up and began to remove her glove. The armor came off piece by piece, first the glove, then the forearm guard, then the elbow joint. Each piece fell to the ground with a heavy sound. Wu watched, unable to look away. The arm underneath was not metal. It was not scales. It was not crystal or chitin or any of the 100 materials that alien species were made from. It was skin, soft, smooth, pale skin, human skin. Wu felt his heart stop. Reached into the coolant housing with her bare arm. The metal was hot. She did not flinch. Her fingers found the broken pipe. She twisted, pulled, reconnected. The housing hissed. Steam shot out. And slowly, the reactor began to cool down. The red glow faded to orange, then yellow, then nothing. The alarm stopped screaming. Pulled her arm out. It was burned in several places, the skin red and raw. She did not seem to notice. She was looking at Wu. He was staring at her arm, at the human arm, at the impossible thing in front of him. "You are," he could not finish the sentence. "Yes," she said quietly, "I am." Human, she was human. But that was impossible. Humans were extinct. Everyone knew that. The human home world had died 1,000 years ago. Their species had been wiped out in some terrible disaster. They were legends now, stories, myths. And yet here she was, alive, real, standing in front of him with burned skin and steady eyes. Picked up her armor pieces. She put them back on, one by one, covering the truth once again. "Wu," she said, "I need you to keep this secret." He was still in shock. His mind could not process what he had seen. What?" "Please." Her voice was soft now, almost afraid. "If the galaxy finds out what I am, everything will change. I am not ready for that, not yet." Wu looked at the children. They were watching too, but they were too young, too scared, too far away to have seen clearly. They did not know what was. They only knew she had saved them. He looked back at her, at the armored figure who carried the biggest secret in the galaxy. "Okay," he said, "I will keep your secret." Nodded once, "Thank you." The rescue teams arrived 5 minutes later. They found 32 cadets alive and well, a fixed reactor, and 2 heroes covered in smoke and burns. Everyone called a savior that day. But only Wu knew what she really was. And he wondered how long the truth could stay hidden. The days after the reactor incident were strange, became something like a hero. The young cadets she saved told everyone about the brave armored warrior who walked into fire to rescue them. The instructors gave her medals and praise. Even the students who had whispered cruel things about her began to show respect. But Wu could not stop thinking about what he had seen. Human, she was human. He had learned about humans in school like everyone else. They were an ancient species from a small blue world called Earth. They had been one of the first to develop space travel. They had spread across the stars, full of hope and dreams. And then they had died. Their home world was destroyed in a great disaster. Some said it was a war. Some said it was a disease. Some said the sun itself had turned against them. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. The humans were gone. Their colonies fell silent one by one. Their ships stopped flying. Their cities turned to dust. 1,000 years had passed since then. Humans had become legends. Parents told their children stories about the brave, strange species that had once touched the stars. Scientists searched for their lost technology. Collectors paid fortunes for human artifacts. But no one in all that time had ever found a living human. Until now. Wu found in the medical wing. She was sitting on a bed, her arm being treated by a medical robot. Her armor was fully back on, hiding everything once again. "Can we talk?" he asked. The medical robot finished its work and rolled away, flexed her healed arm, testing the movement. "You want to know about my people," she said. It was not a question. "Yes." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood up and walked to the window. The academy grounds spread out below, green and peaceful under the afternoon sun. "What do you know about the end of Earth?" she asked. Wu thought about his school lessons. "The records are not clear. Most of the data was lost. Some say it was a nuclear war. Some say an asteroid. Some say the planet just died." "It was none of those things," said. "Earth was murdered." Wu felt a chill run down his spine. Murdered by who? By the other species, the ones who feared what humans could become. She turned to face him. Even through the helmet, he could feel the weight of her words. "Humans were young," she continued. "We had only been traveling the stars for a few hundred years, but we learned fast, too fast. We adapted to every environment. We built weapons that scared the old empires. We made friends with species that others had abandoned, and we kept growing, spreading, dreaming." "They were afraid of you," Wu said. "Yes, they called us a threat. They said we were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too many. So they came together in secret, the great empires, the ancient races. They decided that humans had to be stopped before we became too powerful." Wu felt sick. "They killed your entire species." "They tried. They destroyed Earth first. Then they hunted down the colonies one by one. They burned our cities. They killed our people. They erased our history from the records. They told the younger species that we had destroyed ourselves, that we were too violent, too foolish to survive." "But you survived." Nodded slowly. "A few of us did. My mother was from one of the outer colonies. When the attacks began, she took a ship and ran. She flew to the darkest corners of space where no one would look. She raised me in hiding, teaching me everything she knew, how to fight, how to build, how to survive." "Where is she now?" Silence. The weight of it told Wu everything he needed to know. "She died when I was 12, said. "A sickness we could not cure. I have been alone ever since." Wu did not know what to say. The story was too big, too terrible. An entire species murdered by the galaxy. A young girl left alone in the void of space, surviving for years with nothing but her mother's teachings and her own will. "How did you end up here?" he finally asked. "I found old human records," said. "Data files that survived the destruction. They talked about the Galactic Academy, how it trained the best soldiers in the galaxy, how it was supposed to be fair, open to all species. You wanted to prove yourself." "I wanted to see if things had changed, if the galaxy was still the same place that murdered my people, or if it had grown, learned, become something better." Wu stepped closer. "And what have you found?" Looked at him for a long time. "I found people who judge without understanding, who fear without knowing, who push away anyone different." Wu felt shame burn in his chest. It was true. He had seen how the other students treated her. "But I also found you," continued. "Someone who saw me as a person before anything else. Someone who kept my secret when you could have told everyone." "I would never betray you," Wu said. "I know, that is why I am telling you this." They stood together in silence. Outside, a shuttle flew across the sky, leaving a white trail behind it. The galaxy went on, unaware of the secret hidden in this small room. "What will you do now?" Wu asked. Turned back to the window. "I do not know. Part of me wants to stay hidden forever, to live as the mystery, never letting anyone see the truth." "And the other part?" "The other part is tired," she admitted. "Tired of hiding, tired of lying, tired of being alone." Wu reached out and touched her armored shoulder. It was cold and hard, but he hoped she could feel the warmth of the gesture. "You are not alone," he said. "Not anymore." Looked at his hand, then at his face. "You really mean that, do you not?" "Yes, whatever happens, I am with you." For the first time since they had met, did something unexpected. She laughed. It was soft and quiet, barely audible through the helmet, but it was real. "You are very strange, Wu," she said. "So people keep telling me." They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, told him about life on the run, about the ship she had built from scrap metal, about the planets she had seen and the dangers she had survived. Wu told her about his home world, about his family, about his dreams of becoming a great soldier. It was the most either of them had talked in years. Meanwhile, in his office, Instructor studied the security recordings from the reactor incident. He watched remove her glove. He zoomed in on the arm underneath. He ran the image through every database in the galaxy. No match, no known species had skin like that. But was old. He had seen many things in his long life, and he remembered stories his own grandfather had told him, stories about a species that had once been great, a species with soft skin and fragile bodies, a species that had died 1,000 years ago. He leaned back in his chair, his scales dark with thought. "Impossible," he muttered. But the image on his screen said otherwise, and knew that soon the whole galaxy would want answers. The truth could not stay hidden much longer. The attack came without warning. It was early morning when the first ships appeared in the sky. They were black and sharp, like knives cutting through clouds. They bore no flags, no symbols, no identification, but everyone at the academy knew what they were. Raiders, the worst kind of criminals in the galaxy. They attacked colonies, stole resources, and killed anyone who fought back. They had never attacked a military academy before. The defenses were supposed to be too strong. But the defenses were not working. Alarms screamed across the campus. Explosions shook the ground. Students ran in every direction, some toward the shelters, some toward the armory. Instructors shouted orders, but the chaos was too great. Wu found in the courtyard. She was standing still while everyone else ran, her armored head tilted up toward the sky. "We have to move," Wu said. "We have to get to the shelters." "The shelters will not hold," said. "There are too many ships. They will break through in minutes." "Then what do we do?" Did not answer. She was watching the raiders land. Hundreds of armed soldiers poured out of the ships, their weapons already firing. Academy cadets fell. Buildings burned. The beautiful grounds turned into a battlefield. "They knew our defenses would be down," said. "This was planned. Someone told them when to attack." Wu felt cold fear in his stomach. A traitor. Someone inside the academy had betrayed them all. Instructor appeared beside them, a weapon in his old hands. His scales were pale with stress, but his eyes were sharp. "You two get to the main hall," he ordered. "We are gathering everyone who can fight." "What about the younger cadets?" Wu asked. "They are being moved to the underground bunkers. But if we lose the main hall, the bunkers will not matter." They ran together through smoke and fire. Raiders appeared around every corner, shot two of them down. grabbed one by the throat and threw him into a wall. Wu picked up a fallen weapon and covered their backs. The main hall was full of cadets, maybe 200 in total. Most of them were young, scared, barely trained. They held their weapons with shaking hands. And were there too, had cuts on her face, was holding his arm like it was broken. They both looked relieved to see Wu alive. "What is the plan?" a cadet shouted. Climbed onto a platform at the front of the hall. His voice was loud and steady. "Listen to me. The raiders have cut our communications. Help is not coming. We are on our own." Fear rippled through the crowd. "But we are soldiers of the Galactic Academy," continued. "We have trained for this. We will hold this hall until the younger cadets are safe. We will not run. We will not surrender. We will fight." Some cadets looked inspired. Others looked even more afraid. Wu could see the doubt in their eyes. They did not believe they could win. And then a raider's voice echoed across the hall. It came from speakers placed around the campus, loud enough to shake the walls. "Attention, Academy, you are surrounded. Your defenses are destroyed. Surrender now and some of you may live. Resist and you will all die. You have 5 minutes." Silence fell over the hall. 5 minutes. That was all the time they had. "We cannot win," someone whispered. "There are too many of them." "We should surrender," another voice said. "At least we will live." The fear was spreading. Wu could feel it like a dark wave washing over the room. The cadets were giving up. They were going to surrender. And then stepped forward. She walked to the center of the hall, her black armor gleaming in the emergency lights. Every eye turned to her. The mysterious stranger, the armored hero, the one who had saved 32 children from a burning reactor. "You want to know what I am," she said. Her voice was clear, cutting through the fear like a blade. "You have all been asking since the day I arrived. What is she hiding? What is under that armor?" She reached up and touched her helmet. "I will show you." Wu stepped forward. "You do not have to." "Yes, I do," she said softly. "It is time." She removed her helmet. The gasp that went through the hall was like a physical thing. Cadets stepped back. Some raised their weapons. Others just stared, their mouths open in shock. Under the helmet was a face, a human face, young and worn by years of survival, brown eyes that held 1,000 stories, dark hair cut short for practical reasons, pale skin marked by burns and battles. She looked around the hall, meeting every shocked stare. "My name is," she said, "I am human." The silence was complete. No one moved, no one breathed. "You were told my species was extinct," continued. "You were told we destroyed ourselves, that we were too violent, too foolish to survive. That was a lie." She raised her head high. "The truth is that the galaxy murdered us. The great empires decided we were too dangerous, too unpredictable. They killed billions of us. Men, women, children. They burned our worlds and erased our history. They thought they destroyed us all." Her voice grew stronger. "They were wrong. I survived. Others may have survived too, hidden in dark corners of the galaxy. And do you know why? Because humans do not give up. We do not surrender. We do not lie down and die just because someone tells us to." She looked at the sealed doors. Outside, the raiders were gathering for their final attack. "Those raiders want us to surrender. They think we are weak. They think fear will break us. But I have spent my whole life fighting against fear, fighting against people who wanted me dead, and I am still here." She turned back to the cadets. Her brown eyes were fierce. "I am not asking you to fight for me. I am asking you to fight for yourselves, for each other, for the younger cadets hiding in the bunkers who need us to be brave." Her voice dropped to something softer, something real. "I know you are scared. I am scared too. But being scared does not make you weak. It makes you alive. And as long as you are alive, you can choose. You can choose to surrender, or you can choose to fight." She raised her armored fist. "I choose to fight. Who will stand with me?" The silence stretched on. Then Wu stepped forward. I will. Stepped forward. I will. Stepped forward. I will. One by one, cadets moved to stand beside. 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, until the entire hall was standing together, weapons raised, fear replaced by something stronger. Instructor looked at with new eyes. He saw her not as a mystery or a threat, but as what she really was, a leader, a survivor, a warrior. You heard her, he said to the cadets. Let us show these raiders what we are made of. The doors exploded open. Raiders poured in. And the cadets of the Galactic Academy met them head-on. The battle was fierce. It was bloody. It was the hardest fight any of them had ever faced. But they did not break. They did not run. They fought for each other. They fought for the children in the bunkers. They fought because a human girl in black armor had reminded them what courage looked like. When the relief ships finally arrived 3 hours later, they found something impossible. 200 cadets had held off a raider army twice their size. The raiders were scattered, their leader captured, their ships destroyed. And in the center of it all stood, her armor was cracked and burned. Her human face was covered in blood and dirt, but she was alive. She was still standing. The galaxy would learn the truth that day. Humans were not extinct. At least one had survived, and she had done something no one expected. She had united a room full of strangers and turned them into heroes. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Stories spread across the stars. Scientists came to study her. Politicians came to meet her. The old empires that had murdered her people watched nervously from their ancient halls, but did not care about fame or power. She only cared about one thing. She was no longer alone. She had found something her mother had always told her about, something worth fighting for. She had found a home. And for the first time in 1,000 years, humanity had hope once again.